The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus begins its second generation under its current name with a revolutionary change to its styling. And yet, Lincoln went even bolder inside. Oh, and there's a hybrid under the hood. Let's take a closer look. Looking at the front of the car, it's easy to see that this is a massively different design. First of all, we've got this big and bold grille that's very three-dimensional. It's got these little Lincoln emblem shaped patterns popping out of a diamond shape. Otherwise, a lot of this grille is actually fake. It's blanked off right here, but there are openings in the center right here. But this is all blanked out, and a lot of around the perimeter is all blanked out as well. But that's not the coolest feature about this. Coming from these headlights, which are LED by the way, you have this light beam that goes right across to the center, and the illuminated Lincoln logo is right there. Big, bold, loud, and proud. It does look really nice at night. Here, let me show you. The hood itself kind of slopes down a little bit to meet the front grille, but then we do have more body coming off on either side. But then this is polished metal down here before you get to the lower grille, which again is blanked out at the ends but largely open here. Pretty obvious adaptive cruise control sensor right here. More polished metal, then more body color way down low. Then we do have some black coming off to the sides. We do have a vent. This is a real vent. This does come to the front wheel well to help blow air past the front wheel and mitigate a high pressure zone from forming right here. The hood itself also slopes down on the side and meets the front quarter panel right here at the top of the headlights, and then has a nice bend right here and then ridges on either side, and then it actually dips down a little bit in the center, converging a little bit on the Lincoln logo. But while the hood is nice, what's underneath it is much more interesting. Well, there it is, your turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder hybrid engine, transversely mounted or side to side like that. I appreciate that there's not some big plastic shroud to hide it. You have a nice exposed understanding of what's going on. The air intake is just under the grill here, swoops up under here, comes in like that. The turbo is on the back side of the engine over here. The engine itself is not centered. It's off to the side because we have the transaxle, which includes the hybrid unit right here. And then we have battery hookups right here, but not the battery itself. We also actually have a lot of exposed space right here. You can see right down to the frame rails right here, a big beefy engine mount right here. Lots of tubing and things for the turbo air to flow where it needs to go. It's probably hidden for the camera, but your engine oil dipstick is right here, easy to get to. Appreciate seeing that. It's also pretty easy to see the engine mount on this side. So yeah, I appreciate all that's exposed and easily accessible in this engine. The front axle center line is right around the back of this fuse box right here, which does put much of the engine ahead of the front axle center line. But that is mitigated a little bit by the fact that we do have a battery pack for the hybrid system and that this Nautilus is standard all-wheel drive. So, considering everything, it's not all that egregious. And finally, windshield washer fluid is on the passenger side, but very easy to reach right here. Looking at the car in profile, this gives you a chance to see the silver radiance metallic paint. And I actually think that's one of the more appropriate colors I've seen, because this color really does capture the sunlight very nicely and very proudly. You see a lot of sun baked into this color right now. Looking at the car in profile, you can see it is fairly long for a 2-row SUV. And you can also see that Lincoln has kind of taken a two-tone approach. Once you get to the door handles, it looks awfully black looking up. You effectively have a black roof and black B, C, and D pillars. You also have this black side view mirror cover, and continuing on with black door handles way up here and continuing on all the way to the back. The only exception to that is this light polished metal for the roof rails right here, but then you do have more black, this like 4-foot long black strip right here with some polished metal beneath that, and Nautilus spelled out for you in blue just beneath the side view mirror covers. Also, where the hood line meets the quarter panel, that becomes a character line that runs right through to the back and meets in the center of the tail light right here, which gives some interesting grooves for the fuel door. The body actually tucks in as you go down and then juts back out again for another polished metal right beneath some more body color at the cowl. It is stylistically pleasing, I have to say. Maybe just the tiniest bit on the busy side, but it's a well executed busy, I guess we'll say. I will go ahead and put the dimensions up on the screen for you to check out and let you know that I have a lot more information in the description. You are looking at 21-inch wheels with this bright aluminum finish right here on this otherwise black wheel. We do have Michelin Primacy all-season tires mounted on those. The standard wheel is a 19-inch wheel, but you can go up to 22s on the Nautilus if you wish. And considering the modern era we're in, I think it's a perfectly appropriate tire. You do have a decent amount of sidewall to work with here. This is actually a 50 series tire, which is on the high side for the modern era. And yeah, it is a square setup. The wheels and tires in back are the same size as what's in front. Looking at the back, I think the Nautilus is tastefully designed. I was happy to see that Lincoln didn't go too far with its roof-mounted spoiler. We do have a subtle curve in the back that starts in the windshield and follows the body down. And there is a little bit of rake in the windshield, but it is fairly vertical. The taillights themselves actually extend out a couple inches from the body and are full width of the vehicle right here, and they are also LED. I will go ahead and show you what this looks like at night. And beneath that, we do have another strip of polished metal right here before we get more black, for the license plate, then body color, then black, then polished metal, then black. I like that the tail lights actually have this curve to come up to the straight line when it goes across right there. I think that's a nice design touch. And I'm really happy that Lincoln didn't bother with any faux exhaust tips. You could argue that they might be trying to do that a little bit with these, but they're so far away from what an exhaust would look like that I think it's just a design element generally. There are dual exhaust tips. They are underneath the car, down here on either side, just as they should be. And because this is a 2-row SUV, there's actually quite a bit of cargo space as well. Yes, you do have a hands-free liftgate with the Lincoln. It is a kick sensor right there. And opening the liftgate exposes 35 cubic feet of storage behind the second row, and you know, a nice wide space. It is a fairly high loading floor, but otherwise it's easy to access. You do also have some hooks built into it right there. There's another one over here. And on the driver's side, you do also have a cigarette style power port right there. And under the floor, you do have an actual spare tire. It is a compact spare right there. And there are a couple more small compartments if you wanted to store some extra stuff. And if you need more than 35 cubic feet of storage and only need room for you and a passenger, that is incredibly easy to do. A couple pushes of a button, and then remove the seat belts and give them just a little bit more encouragement. And you have 69 cubic feet of storage. Nice wide space, not quite a flat floor, but pretty close. And I would say plenty of room for my bike, but let's find out. Oh yeah, no problem at all. Nice and wide, plenty of length, fits with zero trouble. All right, let me show you what's inside. All right, let's start with the interior color. Lincoln calls it black onyx with premium gray leather and it looks like that. It's all fine. I believe this is the gray premium leather, and this is the black onyx. I do like this lighter color cross stitching we have here, and I do like this metal kick plate down here. On the door, you can see we have plenty of speaker chambers right here. We do have the upgraded sound system. We also have this slightly atypical looking door handle right there, power windows right there, and otherwise it's a pretty typical space. And if you look right here, you see we have controls for heated rear seats for the 2 outer seats, and that is actually standard equipment. One thing, when I put the second row down, you notice that they stopped halfway. There's these little leather straps right here to hold the seatbelt in place, and if you don't remove the seatbelts first, they do kind of resist folding down all the way, but they go on like that. It's all lovely. I am 5 feet 11 inches or 181 centimeters tall, and as you can see, I have plenty of knee room. Also, the seat bottoms are pretty darn high, so I have good thigh support. Despite the fact that we have a panoramic moonroof, I do still have headroom, and I also have a much less than 90-degree bend in my knees. Do also have this lovely little map pocket right here. I already showed you the heated seats. The seats themselves are contoured a bit and provide some support and comfort. And of course, I do have a center armrest with cup holders and a nice little storage spot as well. So yeah, this is a perfectly comfortable space for adults, first or second row. Because this Lincoln has something called the Reserve 3 package, it comes with some higher end stuff, mainly these super fancy high-end seats with lots and lots of controls, lumbar support, seat up, seat back, but also individual thigh support adjustment right there. These seats are also heated, ventilated, and massaging. We do also have a higher end stereo as a result called Revel, and something Lincoln calls Rejuvenate, which includes a battery of things, mainly some scent canisters, which you can see vents for right here. They're housed right here, and that fills the cabin with a few different scents if you're interested. The door itself shows the 2 different interior colors right here, as well as some polished metal right here, as well as the usual controls you'd expect to see, and more speaker boxes and things like that. We do have a nice Lincoln kick plate right down here, some controls to the left of the steering wheel, and electronically controlled adjustable tilt and telescope right there. You may have noticed this big sensor right here as well, and the camera picks up a couple of red dots on occasion. That is the sensor for Blue Cruise. Blue Cruise is Ford's answer to General Motors Super Cruise, and the Lincoln Nautilus comes with it as standard equipment. You might also have noticed this kind of oval oblong shaped steering wheel. That is something that takes a tiny bit of getting used to, I have to say, but it's partially because we also have this massive 48-inch panoramic display right here. And that's in addition to a perfectly reasonable size 11.1-inch center display right there. That is what is really something in this Nautilus. Of course, I'll show you more of that in just a moment. Push button start is right here. And there is the 48-inch panoramic display all lit up. And as you can see, it's basically split in 2 right down the middle. This side is effectively your instrument cluster and some extra space. You can see Google Maps there if you want. And then this side has 3 different sections on its own, which is easy to adjust. I'll show you that in just a minute. There is the 11.1-inch center display lit up, and it is currently in the settings screen right there. And you can see there's a lot of adjustments that are easy to make. I'll show you those in just a minute. But first, I want to tell you that it does include the usual things. You do get wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You do also get Google Maps and Google Assistant. Just beneath that, you see that we have a dual zone climate control system and that the front passengers get heated and ventilated seats, and the driver gets a heated steering wheel as well. This is a hybrid after all, so the car was on this whole time, but the engine itself just kicked on. The Prindle is beneath the center display. It is a push button Prindle right here. It does take a little bit of getting used to, but after you do, it's fine. Beneath that, we have our volume knob and power button right here, and then some other individual controls right here. Beneath that, we have a wireless smartphone charger, a couple of cup holders right here, and a nice little tray with a USB Type-C and USB Type-A port right there. Beneath that, we do have more storage, 2 more USB Type-C ports right here, and a cigarette style charge port right there. All right, let's talk about this big panoramic display right here. It's actually pretty darn easy to adjust. Starting here, go to Settings, Display, and you see we have touchscreen beep, touchscreen offset, we have different themes, and you can choose among 4 different themes. This one right here is Engage. I'll quickly show you the others. Constellation, Tranquil, and Inspire. But if you go beneath the settings to this button right here, this shows you this section of the display. And you can choose among all these different things that you want to put up there and the order. So first of all, I just have clock, weather, and fuel. I can just move them around like this, and they move around like that. Really nice. Or I can adjust them. Let's say I'd rather have tire pressure than fuel. That's real easy to do. Really simple. I can also press this button right here. That's the settings for this. I can turn on calm mode. What that does is turn most everything off. So that entire half of the screen goes dark, and this stays pretty minimal. I can also decide whether I want Google Maps to show up or not. It would display right next to the speedometer right there. And then this is another way to go to the theme selection that I already showed you. So what I appreciate about this massive display right here is how easy it is to configure, and I'll let you know it's not nearly as distracting as I thought it would be either. It's actually very easy to glance at things and keep your eyes on the road. All very nice. I also want to briefly show you these seats. So if I go back to the vehicle, seats are right here. You can see that I can adjust the lumbar support right here. There's a lot of different options. You have 3 different levels of lumbar and then 3 different levels of intensity of the lumbar. But then you also have massage right here, and you have different versions of massage right here. So the seats are really easy to access to get a massage as well. And the massaging seats are for both the driver and passenger. Very, very nice. And then the scents. Digital scent, it's called right here. You have 3 scents at a time. There are 4 scents in total, but you can see this particular car has these 3 right here. And if you want, you just turn it on right here and turn on the intensity like that. And it's continuously diffusing that scent into the cabin. Oh yeah, and I can smell it just after a few seconds. And 3 is awfully strong actually. One more thing before we talk drive modes, that's ambient lighting. We have several color choices right here and then intensity right here. The most obvious place to see them is these 3 strips on the door. I'll make it a nice and easy color to see. Red, they pop up right there, and then intensities right here. There's your minimum right there, but then there's the maximum right there. Again, that'll be more prevalent to see at night, so let me show you that real quick. Finally, let's talk drive modes. You can access drive modes from here as well. They're right here, but we'll push this button right here to get to normal, excite, which is basically sport, conserve, slippery, and deep conditions. Deep conditions is like deep snow, mud, that kind of thing. Slippery, I think pretty self-explanatory. Conserve is basically your eco mode. Excite is your sport driving mode. I think this is just a little too clever to have names like this. I would be just as happy if it said normal, sport, and eco, but hey, that's just me. And this car is equipped with adaptive shock absorbers, so it's not just powertrain adjustments for the drive modes. So there you have it, a close look at the 2024 second generation Lincoln Nautilus, a car that is just awash in screens and features and luxury. In fact, I'm getting a massage as I speak to you right now. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you very much for watching.